Well, howdy folks. Thanks for joining here. I just feel the need to make a video using VCarve Pro to use your CNC router. So this is the new version 12, and it just come out this week. So let's just take a little piece of MDF. This is 3/4. I know you can't see this very well. This is about 11 3/4 inches wide by 7 inches tall. So let's put that in here, and I just want to show you the basics. This is for the beginners that I see ask questions quite often about what software do you use and what, how do you go about this or something, or so don't be afraid. Let's just do a simple thing here and see how it does. So in VCarve Pro, whether you're using an older version or not, you go to create a new file right here. Now you tell it what size it is. So as a general rule, it doesn't matter. You're just creating a workspace here, but for simulation purposes, it is best to go ahead and have the size of wood that you're using. So I just told you it was 11.75. I didn't type, did it? There we go. There was a lag there, I don't know why. By 7 inches tall. And we're going to tell it that we're going to zero our job at the top of the material to the Z0. Z is up and down. X and Y is X is going to be the width, and Y is going to be how deep it goes back towards the back of your machine. And we'll zero this at the front left for now. We can change this anytime. And you don't really have to change anything else in here if you want. You can change material settings, which really just changes what it looks like. I kind of like the maple okay. It's a light color and it works okay. So then just hit OK. So now here's our little workspace. And like I said, those numbers are not very critical. You can come back and change them, make it bigger or smaller. It's just really how much room do you have to draw here. And if you're zero, if you'll notice right here is where our XY 0 is. It's at the lower left. That makes it easier if you're calculating from here and you want to put something in a certain spot. It's easier to do that. And when you're all done, if you want a 0 in the center to center your workpiece, then that's fine too. But I can show you ways around that, and you can do things however you want to. So we've got that material drawn, and let's just go in and make some text. And so right here, this stuff is laid out. If you're new to this software, that's just create vectors, transform objects, edit objects, and then here's your offsets and things, layout. And 3D modeling tools we're not going into. I haven't even played with that stuff, and I've been using this software for, or some form of vector software for about 6 years now. I'm not necessarily the best at it, but I know how to get around in it pretty well. So now let's just put in a rectangle. Well, let's put in some text. So just click on Draw Text right here. And whatever fonts are on your Windows computer or your, I don't know if this works with Apple products, but whatever is in Windows, this is how many fonts you have, is whatever's on your computer that it uses. So I was just going to type in long mill. That's what group I'm kind of talking to here. And if you put in where you want this to be, so we're at 12-inch width. No, we weren't. We were at 11.75. So if we wanted to, we could go half. You know, for the sake of this video, let's do something else for a minute. You can go right back in here to your job dimensions. And by the way, these file operations weren't here earlier, and I like them to be here because it has your undo button and stuff here and your set job dimension. All you have to do to fix that, I think you go up here to edit and you go to options, and you have to go into these settings and click these general settings right here where it says show additional file operations. You have to change that to yes. right there. You click on that and see right here, you can push no or yes. So that's all you do to get some of this stuff fixed. If something here don't look like you want it to, go into the options and look around in there. But anyway, if I wanted to center this in here, all I need to do now is push this align button. See, under the transform objects, you can move things, set the size, rotate, mirror things, you know, all that. But right over here it says align objects. Click that, and up here it's align to material. Hit the one that's in the center, right there. See there? So now that's perfectly centered. What I was just going to show you is if this was an even number, you could do that when you put that in there. You could tell it exactly where you want it to be. But it's easy to align things like that also. And so to me that's not big enough, and we could have done that. So let's go undo. We don't really have to undo it. We can set the size right here if we want. So there's a lot of different ways to do things. So as long as this says link XY, that's going to keep the proportions of everything. And a lot of people want to hit the shift and drag things. I don't really like dragging stuff because once you do that, you can get things a little bit out of place, or you can deform it. But you can rotate, you can drag things. You do it if that's the way you want to do it. But I like to keep this linked if you want it to stay the shape it is. But you can change either one of these numbers. So let's change that width. So we know we have 11 inches to work with. So let's change this to, I don't know. Change it to 8 inches wide and see what it looks like. Okay. So now it's 8 inches wide by about 3 1/16 tall. So let's just call that good. Close that tool. This is lagging a little bit, I will admit. It didn't used to do that, so this software must take a little more resources while I'm doing this screen recording. It's apparently lagging a little bit. Okay. Well, that's a text file, so it's kind of like a group file. And if you'll notice, earlier when I was in text, there was something on the screen that talked about right there. You can space these a little bit. So if you see that, I've noticed you had to push shift key and you can click like 1, 2. Try to do them all evenly. So we go 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, it's lagged just a little bit. 1, 2. Do them all about even and see if they look right. I'm holding the shift key and just clicking the left mouse button here. So to me these look a little bit close, so I'm going to go about one more time. A little bit there. So you can see these spaces right in here look fairly similar. So I don't know, you can just think about how that looks. Now if you click left click without pushing the space, it brings them closer together. So it looks like that's a little bit far on that one. Maybe that one too. So that looks fairly good. Some text, font and things, they look a little bit, they're not always perfect. But once you get this the way you want it, I prefer to go ahead and change that to curves or to vectors. So if you'll notice right up here under this, where is that? Under edit, I think. No. They've changed the way these look, so it's hard for me. This is really, I have very little experience on this new version. Right there it says convert to curves, so just click that while this is highlighted. Now if you want to highlight something, if it's not highlighted, just drag across it, or since this is text, it's all one piece. But if it wasn't, you would want to box it in, and there it's selected. Now push convert to curves. So now that those are vectors, and if you'll notice now, each one is separate. So you have to be more careful now. Some people like to group these or whatever, but now when you select any vectors that you bring in, go ahead and push the N key and that'll bring up the nodes, and just kind of looking to be sure it looks like clean files. There's not any errors. A lot of times text fonts and things will have some kind of errors in there and things you might want to get rid of, but these look pretty clean. Okay, and these are handles here. These are not separate nodes, so these, even the circle looks pretty decent. So I'll push the N again to get rid of that. And so now if you were worried about this, a lot of times people will group that, and so there's a, right here it says ungroup and that says group. So you can group it and now it's back to all one piece. I don't normally do that, honestly, but you can. And it doesn't really hurt anything, I guess. All right, now let's put something around this. So let's just get a rectangle. Right up here is where you can draw a rectangle. And you can tell it if you want that to be square corners or radius external or radius internal. I think we need a little of both. So let's do a radius external. And see, this is 11 inches. We want to use most of our wood. So let's go ahead and let's say make it 11 inches. And if we want to radius the external just a little bit, let's put about a 1/4 inch. I'll tell you what, this thing is lagging and it wasn't doing this to me earlier. I think it's because I'm doing the screen recording. Let's go ahead and do a 1/4 radius on the corners. And we were going to make this, what did I say, 11 inches maybe? And the height of it, let's use up most of the height too. Let's go 6 inches. That'll give us a little bit of room there. Create that. Now notice I wasn't paying attention to my numbers. These were set for what I used last. So just push Control Z and that will undo your last move. And you can either put these numbers in here or just click this lower left corner and click, it'll snap right to that. And that's not the size. See, we weren't at the size again. So I'm messing up right here talking to you. So let's go back and put that width again of 11 inches. And I think I said go to 6 inches. And let's just create that. See, we set that to XY0 and this it's going to anchor from here. So now we can create that right there. So just to be sure all of this is centered on our piece, let's go ahead and just select all of that and go back to our align tool and do like this. Now, because those were hooked together is why it did that. We don't really want to do that. We want to make sure this one's aligned. And then we want to make sure this one is aligned. There we go. See, I'm not foolproof here. I'm not complete perfect with this. But it's easy enough to just play around with. And let's go back and ungroup this. I really don't like it grouped. I don't know why, it just bothers me. I like working with vectors. See, that's a vector, and again, if you look at those nodes, there's only 4 of them. They're just straight lines. So, and this is your starting position, so that's where it's going to try to start cutting that. So what I was going to do is put a radius on here, but I didn't do it while I was in that tool, which I could have. But I'll show you one more tool here you can use. So I don't think you have to have it selected, but go over here, see where it says edit. It's a fillet. It looks like fillet, but I think that's pronounced fillet. It creates radiuses. And on a normal fillet, there's different types in here, which normally you don't use any of these others. I guess you could, but a normal, and we'll call that a 0.25 inch, so 1/4 inch. And if you'll get close to that, if you'll notice it has a check mark show up, and that's going to be an external radius just like that, and you can go around and click them all. Now if we'd have drawn this with that setting in there, it would have already been there when we made the rectangle. So you could do it either way if you forget, like I did. And you can also play with your different fonts and things too if you wanted to shape them different. And Okay, we've got that to be a little bit of a radius. Now let's do another one on the inside of here. This is just where we're going to cut the whole piece out of that wood. Now let's do one on the inside of it, and let's make it, I forgot how wide we make the letters, 8 inches I think. So by the way, if you forget how big you made something, you can come up here and put guides. See how you just pull them out of the sides? You can kind of line them up if you wanted. Right click them, delete them, whatever. Or just come up here to your measuring tool. See this? It says measure. So just find out about where you want to measure from and see how it snaps to that. Just click once on that on the left button and then move it there. And if you'll notice over here it says that's 8.6 inches wide. And how tall is it? Let's just see. And it's about 2.5 inches tall. So we got about a 8, whatever that said, 8.5 inches or so. So let's just make another box in here, a rectangle that is about, I don't know, let's just call it 9 inches wide. And forgot what height those were, 3. Let's go about 4 inches, 4.5 tall. See what that looks like. Again, we're on X and Y 0, so it's going to draw it from here. But really, we want to be from center, so let's click this center. And I think it messed me up again, so I don't know. If you'll notice, you can find the center of this. It'll click to it, but because we have letters in here, it's possible that that can mess that up. So there's a lot of different ways. You could even, I think the easiest way is just draw it like this, just to make it easy on us. And go back here into this alignment tool, since we're selected there, and just say align this to the material. And so see, that looks like it's a little too close to that. And I know there's better ways to go about this, and that's not the way we want to do. But luckily we have this resize here. You know, what we want to do is have this equal distance of this one. So what I think let's do is let's just delete that. So just, it's highlighted, so push the delete button right there. Let's see what size this one is. I know I'm fumbling around a lot. And so that one is 11 wide and 6 inches tall. So let's make this other one about, what do you think, 1 inch difference? So we'll make it 5 by 10, 10 by 5. Let's try that. So let's do another one, 5 by 10. So let's go 10 inches wide, and we'll see if we like that, and 5 inches tall. And I don't know if that's really the center. That's what's, it's trying to snap to the letters. It might have got it, but that's not what I want to do either. So let's go back. I wanted to show you this radius. You can do this internal radius that'll shape it like that. And let's do that radius of about, let's try a 1/2 inch radius and see what that looks like. And create that. Okay. So yeah, I don't know if I like that too much, but it's okay. I almost don't look aligned right, but I guess it is. I don't know why it don't look right to me. I think that radius probably ought to be a little bit bigger, so let's go back and do that again. Let's try that with a 0.75 radius and see what it looks like. I don't know if I like it, but let's just go with it. I'm just showing you some basic ways of doing this stuff. All right, now what we need is some holes in here just to hold it down. And this is getting more into the work holding stuff. So we know we have some material here. So let's come in and make some holes. So if you want to draw a circle, let's put a 0.2 put 3 decimals. It's just easier to see. It's 200,000, a little less than 1/4 of an inch. And you should be able to snap these. See how that dot just kind of snaps to a position? Well, that's because it's reading the radius there and it's finding that distance. And that looks about right. So it's snapping right to that. And we need some more out here. But I don't think we're going to be able to snap these. So we got to figure out where we want these holes. So let's just see what it looks like if we came in. This is where you're going to maybe do a little math. Let's just check at 1/2 of an inch in and see what that looks like. Whoop. So 0.5 inches. Let's see if we like where that is. And no, it's too far in, see? So that's not good. I'm just trying to find a way to hold this board down when we cut it. Control Z, we'll get rid of that. Let's change that number to, let's go 0.3 inches. And see what that looks like. So that's going to be, yeah, I'm lagging again. I don't know. I guess it's just, I heard someone else complaining about that. I must have too much going on here. This is a pretty powerful computer, so I don't know why it's doing it. So 0.3, let's apply that. That's okay. So let's do them all like that. And so this position up here is 7 inches, so we need to make the Y 6.7 and apply that one. And I got rid of the one we had by doing that. I had to burn it. I think there's a way to mirror this. I haven't really had much experience with that, but if you was to mirror something, you can create a mirrored copy and then flip horizontal. See what that does. It didn't do anything. It just put another one in there. Okay, well, I've made an extra copy of that circle there, so I got to get rid of it. We got 2 stacked on top of each other. So that's another tool we can use. Hey, it has, no it didn't, that's the other ones we put. So we want to move that, so see over here where it says move. Let's move that one. We already figured that was 6.7 inches in the Y position. And let's apply that. And so I don't know what this distance here, I'm looking at the bottom, it shows you where you're at. So this is 11.75, so I think you can do math in this if you want. And we went 0.3 inches there, so if we went on the X and did, well, it's lagging on me again. Let's do 11.75 minus 0.3 and hit enter. And that didn't do it. Let's Control Z. So apparently, I don't know what I'm doing on that. So, I guess I have to do the math. So that's easy enough. Come down here to calculator and just go 11.75 minus 0.3 equals 11.45 is what we want that to be in the X. So 11.45. Oh, I'm in a move function. That's why it's doing that. We need to be on circle. Now, when you put this at 11.45 and apply that, something is weird here. It's still moving my stuff. You ever notice when you make a video, it makes you look like a real idiot, so. You know what? It put it way up here for some reason. I've got this. Oh, I'm in Y and I need to be in X, you retard. The X needs to be, what I do, 11.45. You know, you can know exactly what you're doing, but you start making a video, you start looking stupid. You notice if you snap to this, it'll show you right where you were. So that's at 6.7 on the Y, and hit create. So see, there it is. And this one here, if we want to know what this was, it was at 0.3 on the Y. So we go 0.3, and the X should be the same as that other one was. So hit create, and there we go. Just getting some holes, that way we could cut this out, and you're going to need to screw this board down to something with these holes. So when you first do this, just clamp it somewhere, preferably in about 4 places, but just for these drilling operations, you probably could get by with clamping it in 2, but you could clamp here, clamp it here, you know, on each end in there. And once you get these in here, you can either have some inserts that you drill this hole pattern into your wood. So what you could do for that, and what I would probably do, is go ahead and I don't know what size they need to be, but just for instance, so if you push these circles, hold the shift key to select all of them. So let's just get all of these circles selected. Holding the shift key, click all of them. And while we're doing this, oh, I didn't even have one there. I never did get one. How did that happen? We got rid of that somehow. I didn't even notice it. You probably noticed it while you was watching me. So let's get this circle back in here and snap back in there. All right. Now again, that's got an extra one there. I must have moved it. All right. You see when you click that, you can tell there's another one there. So apparently at some time I moved that one. Oh, there's one over here. I'm doing all kinds of silly stuff today. Trying to show this to you. I'm not even holding the shift key. I had some other button, I wasn't looking. Okay, I'm just selecting these. I want to show you something you can do with all these. So now I've selected all of those. If you will right click that, you can go ahead and group these. So now you could just click one of them and they're all, you're going to get them all. So that's probably the easiest. What I was going to tell you, you can put these in a, down here where I'm just right clicking on there and it says move to a layer. You can do that and push new layer and just say holes. Change the color if you want to something that's like blue and hit OK. Looks like it's lagging again for me. So now you see that's there, and this layer will be right up here. So you can turn these on or off like this too. If you want to turn off the rest, just hit that, and that's how you do that. So that can become important later if you wanted to do that, but they're still grouped. So when you hit them, they turn pink. All right, so that'll give us a place to do that. All I was going to tell you earlier is you could take all of these and then get back on it and say copy. Up here. Just go copy. And then you can just push paste anywhere. And so that puts another copy of them. So now you can just move them. So I'm just hitting the cursor keys and we'll just move this hole pattern over here. Now if you wanted to, you could save this hole pattern somewhere on another sheet. You can do sheets. This is not about getting that crazy on this video. But as far as that goes, let's just copy the, like this. Right now I could just go File, since that's the only thing selected. I could go File, Export, SVG, and I could save, I'll just put long hole pattern, or holes. And I could save it in here, and it's saving it as a SVG. And I can use that later for a different thing. I could put it on another sheet too, but let's just save that. And so now we have that saved. We can delete them off there. We don't really need them. We've already saved them if we need them again. It's the same as this whole pattern. You can do that anytime if you want to save some part of something. And you can actually add that to a sheet or something. You know, you can add new sheets in here and name them and whatever, I think. So that way you could have all this in one file, I guess, if you want to. These are just to hold the wood down, so when you cut it, you can use tabs if you want or whatever. But to me, tabs are more of a nuisance for just adding more work to sanding and what have you. I like to bolt things down if possible. But we got to make sure we got room in here for an end mill to pass. And if we don't, this ain't gonna work anyway. So here we could measure this distance right here, and it's only 200 thousandths. So no, that's never gonna work. So. So yeah, that's what you run into when you're drawing up things. It's just not going to work. So what we're going to have to do in that case is make this all smaller than it is. So just select all of this, unselect these holes. I didn't mean them to be selected. Well, they're all grouped, so we don't want to mess with our hole size anyway. So select all of this, go to resize right here. And as long as this is all linked, it's all going to shrink the same amount. So let's just bring all this down to 10 inches, and then bring that one to whatever the same amount is, and apply that. And so now we need to ungroup that. So let's select all of these. And we're going to have to push ungroup. Okay. Unclick that. Now I'm going to click that again, see where I can get a hold of it and move it. And now it'll snap to that. So you can do that. This is a waste of time, I know. There you go. You can drag that and it'll snap right there to where you want it. Just trying to stay off of that line so we don't mess it up. But anyway, the second time you click it is when it'll let you move it. All right. And if we wanted to move these in a little bit now, let's see what our distance is now that we've resized that. So now we got 739 thousandths. That's a little less than 3/4 of an inch. So we can move this. So what you can do here is select all of those. You can change this size of that pattern. Right here it says scale selection or scale items individually. Individual would mean you'd change the diameter of the holes, but if you scale the selection, it's going to change the size, the total size of this. So if we bring this in, I don't know how much, but let's just say bring that into a width of 11 inches. Because see, it's still linked, and go apply. It just gets us into the wood a little bit better, so we have not so close to the edge. Because this really is the edge of our wood here, you know. And we want to leave us a little room so we don't have to be super accurate necessarily when we line all this up. We just want to be fairly straight when we do it. So we can do that, show that on the machine if you want to see that. Now, just to verify that we still have room for an end mill to pass around this, we'll just measure from that distance to this distance is still over 5 inches, so we only need approximately 1/4 of an inch to go through here. So yeah, there's plenty of room there. And now, of course, that messes up our layer, I think. So what I would do is just right click that and push delete this, and we don't need that. So we don't have that messed up. Alright, so anyway, we've got a way to hold it down now, and we've got pretty much everything we need here to make this project. So hopefully you understood how easy that is with all my fumbling around here. drawing. It's not very easy to do when you're trying to show somebody. I mean, I know I mumble a lot and what have you, but it's really that easy. You just go through here and draw things. Now the next thing, we need to make our toolpath. So right up here, see this arrow? You just push switch to toolpath, and now we'll go over here and we'll make our toolpath. So whatever order you have them over here is what order the machine is going to run them, even though we're going to select that before we save the file. So first off, we're going to want to drill all these holes, right? So let's go around. I'm holding the shift key. Let's select what we want here. Okay. To do that, the best way is to not use a drill toolpath. You could if you were using the right size drill, but who has a 0.2 inch drill that's going to fit in their Makita router? Like nobody, right? If you had a spindle, yeah, you could have collets to do that. It's one of the benefits to having a spindle. You can have more sizes you can do. But then you're turning your drill too fast, and it's just not that good. Here's the best way to do holes. See this right here, Profile Toolpath, IDC Woodcraft, Garrett Fromm. He has a good video on how to do this in a lot more depth, but I'm just going to show you quickly. This is how you do it. We selected all the holes that we want to drill. Those are already to size. We made them 0.2 inches, 200 thousandths. That's just the size that I made them. You can make them bigger than that. Honestly, they should be a little over a quarter of an inch if we're going to use 1/4 inch bolts and inserts on the table, or 6 millimeters, whatever you use. But in this case, this is just an example of what, if you want to just screw them into wood or whatever, you could do that. Screw them into your spoil board. However you want to do this when you're first starting to learn this stuff, that's up to you. You can clamp it. Clamping is not foolproof. You've got to mess around with making sure you don't crash into something. I like screwing things down myself because it just eliminates having problems with crashing into a clamp and having to worry about that. So in this case, I'm going to show you here. So our cut depth is going to be all the way through the wood. So this is 0.75, and I didn't show you this. I know you can't see good on this, but I really did measure the thickness of this wood, and it's 0.76 inches. So to keep this software from getting mad at us, if we say this is 0.76 here, it's going to get mad at us and say you're going to go through your material, and you can get around that. But let's go push that arrow back just to keep the screen clean, not so much on it. Let's go back right here where we set our job dimensions and stuff. I had this in here at 0.25 anyway, that's not right. Let's change the thickness of this wood to something thicker than it really is. Well, we can do 0.76. The wood really is 7.76, 760 thousandths. 10 thousandths thicker than 3/4 what it really is. I measured it this morning. And so let's just do that. Now we'll go back over here with our little deal and switch. And we want to say we want to drill these holes all the way through it. So normally you would go a little more than this. You know, give yourself 4 or 5 thousandths, but you can set your Z pretty hard and get around that if you want. So we're going to go the same depth here. Okay. We're going to use an end mill that's going to fit in a 0.2 hole, and it's not going to be a 1/4, so let's go over here. We don't want to edit that. We need to select what tool we want, so let's go over here and find a 1/8 end mill. And upcuts are good. I've got a good long 1/8 upcut that I like to use. There it is. And I set these pretty conservative. I mean, really slow, especially starting out. Run this stuff slow. Most people, nearly everyone I see, runs it way too fast. Don't be in a hurry. This is a hobby and we want to enjoy it. So this is a 1/8 end mill. I'm setting my pass depth, meaning how deep it'll go at once. For drilling a hole, I would rather not go very deep. Let's try 20 thousandths at a time. It's just going to add more passes to it. And we're going to go really slow on this. You can do it a lot faster than this. I'm just showing this to make it easy and slow and not so nerve-wracking. We'll leave it at 35 inches a minute and plunging it down at 10 inches per minute. And let's apply that, select that tool right there. Okay, so that's our tool we're using. Make sure you have this Show Advanced Toolpath options selected. It gives you more options in here. So we're starting that cut at 0 inches, which is at the top of the project there. We're doing outside, that's wrong. We're going to be inside this hole. We're going to mill that hole out inside. Climb direction is normally correct. I don't like conventional cutting. Do separate pass, we don't really need to do that. What we do need is ramping. So add ramps, do this spiral ramping. So that's going to spiral right down into the hole. And if you'll notice somewhere, it's going to show you there's 38 passes. That's because we're taking such small cuts that I just did when I set that tool. You can change that and make that a lot faster. We're not in a hurry. We're trying to learn the machine and enjoying every minute of it, right? Now we have to select, and we can name this, and I would just name this Holes Long Mill. Just, I don't know, I got to name it something different. Holes Long, let's just try that. I have a lot of programs in here, so I don't want to have something the same name as I have something else. Holes Long, we've got to select this. Nothing is selected right now. I must have did something. So on selector, let's go to selected layers only. So let's go in and select all of these holes. I thought I did that, but I must have turned that off. So I'm just holding the shift key and selecting all these holes right here that we want to do. Okay. And now we want to push calculate. So there's our toolpath, and I'm just, you can hold this to move this, swivel this around, or you can use your right button. You can see how that's going to swivel around the holes. See how they're doing? It's a spiral cut going all the way through the material. If you'll notice, it goes all the way through it. And you scroll your mouse wheel to, it's kind of squirrely doing this. Sometimes it's easier to grab that and do this. But so that's what it's going to look like. And you can preview that right here by, say, preview selected. You can slow the speed down here and preview that, and you can watch it do them holes. It does it pretty quick on here. Can't hardly slow holes down like that. So if you push top, you can see this is what we're doing here. And there's our holes. They went all the way through. All right, are you following this pretty easily? I mean, I know I'm long-winded, and I hope it's not a waste of your time to watch this. If you've never done this, I'm hoping it'll show you easy ways of doing it. So we'll close this now, and this just opens. We're in the Toolpaths. Now we're in a 3D view, and if we want to go back, we don't have to. We can use either the 2D view, and you can turn Toolpaths on like this. I don't see, oh, they have to be selected here, and you'll see your toolpath right there. You can turn that off either way. But most of the time I stay in the other mode, but this is a new thing to this version 12 where you can work in 3D mode here if you want. So let's just do it for now. Maybe we can see better, I don't know. All right, so what's the next thing we want to do this? Let's turn the toolpaths off so we don't have to look at that. So now we can screw this wood down. So honestly, you need to screw it down in all of these holes eventually. You might as well go ahead and screw all 4 holes down, because you're going to cut this out and you want this to be still when you do it. If you trust it, you can put some clamps, but you don't have a lot of room to work. But I would definitely screw the center part down. Well, not yet. Actually, this is what we do. We screw the 4 holes on the outside down now, because the next thing we need to do, let's select these 2 lines and let's pocket out this area right here. But if you want to save tool changes, actually probably would do these letters next. So once you get this screwed down solid where it's not going to move for sure, go ahead and select your letters like this. Now go to right here where it says V-Carve Engraving Toolpath. And I've got a V-bit selected that is 90 degree. And it's a 2/3 inch, so it's a little bit bigger than the 1/4 inch, and it works a lot better, I think. It has an insert on it, and it just works good. I found them on Amazon. I also have the IDC 1/4 inch, and it's okay, but this bigger one is so much better because you can go deeper with it, and it just works better. So we're going to use 0 as our start depth. We're not going to do a flat depth, I don't think, because I don't think these letters are all that wide, and I don't think we need a clearance tool. Clearance tool would be as if you wanted to, you know, the way we could figure this out right quick is go over here and measure how wide is these letters exactly. Well, I don't know. I think it's lagging on me again. Maybe it needs to be in 2D to do this. Let's see, how wide are the letters exactly? Yeah, they're about a 1/2 inch wide. So, we may need a clearing tool. I did this earlier on a smaller piece of wood, so that one's 296, so I think it would be best to use a clearing tool on this. Okay, we'll see, that's how you figure this out. So let's go back over here, and let's go ahead and select our letters again. Sorry this is so long, I'm just figuring it out as I go, like you can do, showing you how you can. Let's go ahead and use clearance tools, and to do that, let's select, I really like using that 1/8 upcut that I have. It works really good. It's a long one. If you want to know which one it is, holler sometime, I'll show you the link. It's just Amazon. It's a longer one. I have a ton of different end mills. This is just one of them. I have 2 of these actually. And it doesn't matter if you select exactly the right tool, because all we need to know is the diameter is 1/8 of an inch, and it's a flat cut end mill. And just tell it what pass depth you want it. That's only set at 20 thousandths, and I'm not real worried if it takes a while to do this, honestly. I'd rather get a good cut out of it. But you're just clearing that out of the way, so I'm not going to worry about any of this. It's set really slow, and that's good. So let's just select that one. And so there it is. Now, we're going to use that V-bit tool and that clearance tool. And we're going to do an offset, which means it's going to not sit here and go zzz. You could pick that, but I think the offset will work fine. It's just going to go around and figure out the best way to clear that. Climb mill. I probably would go ahead and do the ramp plunge. The general way of thinking on a ramp move, that's just so that when your end mill comes down into the work, it don't just dive straight into it and start working. It kind of angles into it at a ramp move, and then it starts working. So normally about twice the diameter or more is about what you want. So this is a 0.13 diameter, 1/8 of an inch is a 1.125. So you want at least 0.25. I would go at least, let's just go at least, let's go a 1/2 inch. That'll give it a good smooth plunge, and it's going to take a little longer, but we're not in a hurry, remember. If you're getting in a hurry, then you can change these, and you can take a chance on breaking stuff if you want. It don't matter to me. Break all you want. I don't ever break tools because I take my time. So I've never broken an end mill on the long mill. I'll tell you that much. Okay. I've come close. The easiest way to do it is forget to turn on your router, and there's ways to get around that too. You can turn that on automatically. If you want to know more about that, we can go over that. So I'm not going to do much else here. I'm just going to say calculate, but we can name that. Let's name it letters. In fact, we could name it long letters. Trying to differentiate from any files I may have saved. Long letters. Now let's calculate. So there's our toolpaths. Now let's go preview them and see what they look like. Now that's wrong. Okay. To stop that, just go right here. Let's reset our preview. We need to take this and drag that one above the other. Actually, the clearance is above that one, so not sure why it went that direction. Let's try that again and see what it does. There's our clearance tool. I must have only selected that other one. So see how that end mill is going in there, removing a lot of that material that just kind of roughing that out, and it's going to take a little bit of time. So let's speed this up because it's going a little at a time, and you can turn that up quite a bit. I was being real conservative with that. I don't want you to break an end mill right off the bat, so you can figure out what speeds. If you want to take a little more step over and a little more feed rates, you can. But anyway, this is kind of clearing that, and then it's going to come in with the V-carve right there, and that's what it's going to do. So there's our letters. We got our holes that I guess I need to preview that one again since I reset everything. So there's where we're at so far. Close this. And so now we need to do this pocketing, and then we'll cut it out. So let's just select these two lines, and let's do a pocket on that. So right there, see where it says pocket toolpath. Let's just do a 1/4 inch end mill in there. No big deal. Let's go to half the distance of the depth of this is about 0.375, or actually about 0.38 would be right at half the distance. I don't know what we want. You can do it whatever thickness you want. So what else? Same thing. Let's go climb. It's showing one pass. We don't like that. Let's go look at this tool and see how it's set. See, that pass depth is showing. I don't want to do that. Let's go about 125 on the depth. Half the diameter is about normal for your depth and your step over. And we got about 100 on our step over. That's good. 45 on the feed rate and 20 on the plunge. 12,000 RPMs. We could probably kick that up to 15,000. You can see your chip load should probably be at least 1.5 to 2 thousandths at minimum. So that's not much of a cut. So let's go okay on that. Now that's showing 3 passes. Climb, ramp move is showing 3/4 of an inch. That's fine. Let's just name this long pocket. And let's calculate it. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. It's just going to go in there and make 3 passes around here and pocket all that out. And let's watch that happen. Slow it down. That's pretty cool. And see, watch that work. Preview. Oh, I messed that up. Let's stop that. I need to only select this. Preview visible toolpath. And here we go. Let me speed it up a little bit. So it's just finding those, we're clearing this out, and then it'll come back and do probably a little finish pass when it gets that knocked out of the way. There we go. Now it's doing kind of the final pass on the inside. And it'll come back and knock that piece out of the way. Kind of lagging there now. Hope it don't lock up. Oh, it's doing another pass. Let's speed this up. So yeah, you can see at the end of each pass it goes in and kind of cleans up what it did. See, that's the cleanup. It did a reverse. No, it didn't. It was doing a climbing. It was on the other side. That's what it was. So that's about it right there. Keeps lagging right there. All right, so now all we have left is to cut this out, and that's done. And remember, at this point, since you pocketed this out, it would be best to go ahead and put screws in here so this don't get all loose and break an end mill or do something crazy. So at this point, I would go ahead and put screws in these 4 holes so that holds that down. And I believe we verified we have room in here. If we don't know that for sure, don't mess around until you've checked. To be sure, go over here to your measuring tool. Be sure you have room between here and right there. And it's 448 thousandths. There's plenty of room. So let's go back over here. And let's do that last one. So close this. We're going to select this line right here. That's where we want to cut it out. Do a profile toolpath on that. Select that 1/4 inch end mill, whatever you prefer. Most people want to do a down cut. I'm not a big fan of that. It don't matter. This is MDF, so it just cuts easy and sands easy. It doesn't really matter which end mill you use. To me, upcuts get more dust out of the hole and your vacuum will move it easier, but that doesn't really matter. So here you go. Select that one. I keep selecting different ones. I may have even did a down cut earlier and didn't notice it. Where is IDC's upcuts? This ain't the one I use, but that'll work. That'll work just fine. So select that one. And again, we're going at 0.76 inches on our depth. That'll get us all the way through the material. We're going to go outside this time. Make sure you know which one you're selecting. We're going to be outside that line, so we leave all of that. And now we want to do a climb mill. We don't really need a separate pass. You could if you wanted to, just to clean it up or even to do an allowance. I'd go ahead and do a ramp move on this. Not spiral though, we'll do a smooth ramp. You know, I didn't. Hope I picked that earlier. I think I did. 3/4, that'll give us a little room to ramp into that. Let's go ahead and name this long. Let's go outside and calculate that. And that's about the same as we was doing earlier. It's just, what, 3 passes or so to cut that out. And so we have screws on all of these holes, so it holds it all together and they don't go rattling around or something and break your end mill off or something, or scare the crap out of you, whichever. So let's preview that one. And here we go on that. It's just cutting it out. Didn't notice. I think it was 3 passes, wasn't it? And so there it is. So now you can see it's all clear. You can double click this and it'll move that out of your way. Sometimes it leaves stuff here that you may have to, whoa. I don't know, sometimes it leaves little shreds of stuff that if you turn it just right, you might can. Sometimes you can't get rid of it. Maybe we would have had to go a little deeper to clear that, but at any rate, that's how you do it. That's just a simple project I wanted to show you. If you're new to this and you're scared of the software or maybe you just want to see someone else do it first. I'm that way myself. I like to watch someone else do it, and then I feel a little more comfortable about it after that. But that's just a simple thing you could make, or anything else. Just draw what you want to. You can bring in other things from other ways. I'm sure there's plenty of videos showing you, if you want to import vectors or anything like, I don't know, I have tons of files of stuff, but, I was doing laser cutting the other day on some of this stuff, but I don't even see it. I thought I just imported something, but I didn't see it. Hopefully I didn't. Looked like it put something right there. I better undo that. All right, yeah, there's a lot more stuff you can do in this program, and there's even 3D things you can bring in and whatever. But I think this is kind of cool, actually, that you can do. Oh, before we leave, let's go back over here to. But you can definitely see how much more modern looking. This is more like Fusion 360 or something. Just the look of how this is doing. It didn't used to look this way, which it doesn't matter. It works the same, but it's just kind of cool. You can save your file right here, and you can do some keep out zones and for clamping. And to me, that's just dumbing it down a little bit. You should know. Oh, I didn't get into saving this stuff, but this is the order we're going to do. Is we're going to do the holes and all that, and to save this stuff, honestly, you only want to save things into a file with the same tool, and only if it's not going to interfere with another operation. So to save it, you just click, make sure this is clicked and it's highlighted. So holes, to do that, you would just, and we may go show this actually on the machine. So you're going to go save toolpath. Make sure you have the right post processor selected. There's plenty of videos on how to do that. I can help you with that. I have a good post processor for the long mill. If you would like to have it, I have it on the long mill Facebook group. Go find it, use it. It's in inches. I like inches. I don't mess with, but there it is right there, long mill edit. So if I wanted to go save toolpath, and I could save that into, I don't know where to save it. I got so many places. Let's just save it in Toolpaths. And right there, and you go save. Now to look at G-code, I would love to be able to show you a lot more about G-code. I have other videos about that you really need to understand what the G-code looks like. That's going to be a complicated G-code. I don't recommend you look at that one. Well, there's the holes, and then you've got these letters. But see, when you have different tools, you have to use, you know what, that's the same tool for the hole as it is that. I'd rather do the holes, get it screwed down, and then do the next. So you wouldn't really have to change that tool again, but I would run that after you screw it down. So the next thing is you would do the letters as one toolpath. So you'd save that one, same way. That's the clearance. And then you can do this one, which is a V-carve. Same way, you're just going to go up here. Yeah, see, it's warning you, you're using different tools and it don't support tool changing. So unclick that one. Now we're going to do the letters and save that toolpath. Okay. Then we're going to do the pocket. after it's screwed down on the outside, but not on the inside. And so I can't remember if we could have done two of them together or not. What did we do last? The long letters. We cleared that, but we're going to pocket with a 1/4 inch. So no, we couldn't do that. So you still can't have screws in these holes, but they're screwed in out here. So let's save that toolpath. And you can put numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever order. It's the way you should really do it when you're running. Probably should put it in its own little folder when you're first starting, and name 1, 2, 3, 4 on your file name so that you know for sure which order to go by. Now we're going to do the outside cut, and that needs to be its own file. So there's a lot of tool changing and different files to run here, but it's okay. It's fun, isn't it? Messing with it. So, and that's it. And now, so the outside is going to be the easiest G code to look at if you wanted to see what that looks like. You really need to understand what your G code looks like, honestly. I can't stress how important that is. And this is the way it looks. The G0, G90, G54, G17, G20. That's a startup line that you need to, and you can add notes in here with parentheses that won't affect it at all, but that's just your startup code. That gets the machine to where I know without any doubt it's in the right mode to do what I want it to do, and that's G20 is in inches, G17 is your XY plane, G54 is where we're running our XY0 offset. It's where we set our 0. G90 is absolute, and G0 is a rapid move, and that's just how you normally start. And you can put spaces in here if you want or whatever. So, and then anyway, we're going to rapid to 1 1/8 inch, no, 1 1/4 inch. We're going to go to 0. Spindle's coming on, which usually you turn the switch on to turn it on. And here's all the motions it makes. It's really easy. It's just going to rapid to these spots, and then it goes G1. Brings the Z down to the 0, which is the top of the material at feet of 20. Then it's going to start ramping it in to the work, and then it's going to start going around it. The ramp is the only thing that makes this a little more complicated to look at, because it's ramping the Z in slowly as it's moving into the cut, and then it's just going to go around it. But honestly, people, this ain't nothing but G1 and X. G1 just means a feed rate move, just a linear move at a given feed rate. So it's a feed rate of 45 inches per minute. Other than that, it's just X is going to 2 point something inches, and that's from where you set your 0. X is 10.64, Y is 6.35. That's just where it's moving to make these cuts. That's just really how simple G code is. It's just telling it where to move and how fast to move. That's it. There's nothing more to G code in this form. And then when it's done, it's going to bring the Z back up to 1 1/4 inches off the work. It's going to bring it back to 0. At this point, personally, I would add in the Y move here, I would add that to about 12 inches or something, just to move it out of our way when we're done. And be careful if you know if anything's in your way there, that you're not going to run over a clamp or something. And M30 ends the program, and that's it. So I just push File, Save right there, and it's in there. I save these on OneDrive, so I can pull these right there at the machine off of OneDrive. So anyway, that's kind of the first stage of how you do this stuff. I know if you've done this for very long at all, you already know all this. This is not for you. This is for people that are just starting. They haven't ever even looked into how to do this. This gives you some example of something you can try to play with just as your first project. And if you'd like to have this project and you have a long mill and you know don't blame me if you tear something up. I'm just telling you, I can give this to you if you want it. I want you, though, to learn how to draw this for yourself, and that's how easy that is to do. I just showed you how to do it. Pause the video, watch it slowly, know how to click on them, ask questions. No one ever responds to my videos. No one ever makes comments unless they're negative, hardly ever. So ask me questions. I'm gone during the week. I work out of town. I'm gone about 60 hours a week working as a machinist at my job. So I'm not here, but on weekends I am. I may can answer a few questions in the evenings or something. I get home about 5:15 every day. So I'm in Central. I'm in North Texas here, so you can figure the time out there. All right, appreciate you watching. Hope this is somehow helpful to somebody. Gotta help somebody. I wish someone would have taught me this stuff when I started out, but I just watched every video I could and kind of figured it out. So, and that was on plasma, CNC plasma cutting, but I was doing that on. So, all right, I'm just gonna save this, and that's how you do it. You go File, Save As, and this saves your CAD program. This is not saving Toolpaths. Don't confuse that. Don't confuse the two, because I don't know how many times I've heard somebody say, hey, I saved my Toolpaths, but I can't open up my project and see it anymore. That's because you didn't save it. You go File, Save As. That saves the CAD program. It saves this project we just drew and the Toolpaths. Not the G-code, just this part. That's all that saves. I showed you how to save your Toolpaths. You go over there and that saves the G-code. And you can go down here and look at your G-code. I didn't get into that. I'm already long on this video. So, all right, appreciate you watching, and we'll see if we can upload this and help somebody maybe.